Hello, everyone, and welcome to Hope. My name is Tammy Lynn Connors, and this is my podcast and YouTube channel, helping other people evolve. Today, I have Kevin with me. Hi, Kevin. How are you today?
Hola. I'm doing
Good.
great. How are you doing, Tammy?
Great, great. So you're in South Carolina, correct?
No, ma'am.
No, you're in
When that
Georgia.
city behind
You're
that city
you're in
behind me is
Georgia.
Atlanta. Yes,
You're in
ma'am.
Georgia. Yeah, that's
Even though
right.
you see Chicago on my chest.
Right, right. That's why I got all confused, I guess. Somewhere in between Chicago and Georgia, South Carolina. How about that?
I'll take it.
Okay, awesome. So you're in Georgia. How's the weather down there?
For me, it's beautiful. So
Okay.
when I wake up and it's like 60,
Uh-huh.
65, it feels great.
Yeah.
They'll say it's cold. It's not cold. This is shorts weather still.
Right, right. Well, as
Yeah,
you see, I'm in a hoodie today because when I got up, it's 52, but it's supposed to get up to 85. So, you
that's
gotta,
beautiful.
yeah, it's good weather.
That's
So
beautiful.
for those of you who don't know, what my mission and vision with Hope is just to help people that feel like they're struggling all alone. I feel like, especially since 2020, so many people are at home going through these struggles and they feel like they're all alone and nobody else is going through these struggles. Actually, I've talked to 3 people this week that we've talked about things and they're like, wait, I'm not the only one going through this. So that's what my whole vision and mission is just to hear a story. Unfortunately, a lot of us have been through struggles, but fortunately, like Kevin, we get to a strength in life, right? And we keep building our strength. It's not like overnight we're great and everything's cured, but we just get to a strength. And so I just hope that you hear a story, and maybe it's going to be Kevin's story today or someone else's story, that you can just get out of bed and walk outside, take a deep breath, and just be like, it's going to be okay. I can get through this. We're all going to go through storms in life. Life isn't easy, but if we can learn how to navigate and get the tools to go through those things, it's just such a blessing. So I came across Kevin on TikTok. Many people know I come across a lot of people on TikTok. I've probably had about 25 to 30 people I've interviewed that I found on TikTok. So I think that it's a great platform. And like I tell everybody, Kevin, you're stuck with me forever as a friend. So here I am.
I can
So
dig it.
let's just get at it, I guess. Well, one thing I want to tell real quick is everybody, I just ordered this book. It's Kevin's book, Kevin Pressley, A Self-Made Life. I haven't had a chance to dig into it, but I'll put the link in the comments and things so that way you guys can check out his book too. So after the podcast, I'm sure you're going to want to. So let's talk a
Truly
little bit
appreciate
about
it.
Kevin. So Kevin grew up in what area?
I'm a Cook County baby. So I grew up in Illinois. I
Okay.
was born in Evanston, Illinois, Chicago. Yeah.
So
So I'm a, I'm
he
a,
lived
I'm a Cook
like,
County baby.
pardon me?
I said I'm a Cook County baby. That's how I refer to myself.
Okay. I don't really know where Cook County is, but Chicago area.
Chicago, Illinois. Yeah.
Okay.
Chicago. So the city that you'll always, anytime someone sees me, if they see me on social media, they see me anywhere, they're going to see some type of Chicago paraphernalia on me. I
Okay.
love my hometown. Even though
Nice.
I've been in Atlanta since 1993.
Oh, quite a while then. 30 years.
Quite a while.
Yeah.
Quite a while. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So growing up, what was life like for Kevin growing up?
So if you asked me this question years and years back, I'd have made it seem like it was such a um maybe not a horrific experience, but a
Mm-hmm.
trying experience.
Okay.
I believe now I have a greater appreciation for my upbringing, for my
Okay.
past. Life was somewhat indicative of how they expect from the news and the media that Chicago's kind of rough.
Mm-hmm.
It can be.
Yeah.
It it is. um, I would say that I grew up with the gang affiliations,
Okay.
violence, a lot of misconceptions of what I was capable of doing, and sort of bought into it and sort of gave up on life at a very early age,
Okay.
not realizing how much life I had left.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you say early age, like how early age would you say that would be?
So okay, we're gonna be candid because like
Okay.
I do enjoy your energy is good. So
Thank
thus far, since we've been communicating, and I know your story, so I'm really open. Yeah, I would say by the age of it's like 12,
you. Mhm.
12 years old, I had a gun in my head.
Wow.
Um, I believe earlier that same year, I was walked home backwards by my friend with a straight razor. Uh, I lived
Wow.
in, yeah, but it's funny. As much as you would hear this, you would think that I regret having to endure all those things.
Mhm.
Taught me some very valuable lessons.
Yes.
Very. Gangs, circles. I raised my son by myself.
Okay.
So all these experiences I encountered as a young man
Hmm.
taught me how to ensure that my son was in a better situation.
Yes.
I controlled his circles. I made sure he was busy. Always knew what he was doing.
Hmm.
Everybody in the school knew me. Um, yeah, yeah, it was
Yeah.
different. It afforded me a lot. It afforded me the opportunity to raise a young man on my own.
Hmm.
I'm grateful for it. I
Right.
survived it. I was telling someone the other day, I was like, when I turned 18, matter of fact, I ran into somebody. I was at an event here in Atlanta this past Saturday. It was called like Midnight Food Fest or something like that.
Okay.
And it was really cool because it's all food you can eat, drinks, the whole nine. Me and a couple of friends are walking through. A lady stops me. She was like, are you? She's like, you're Pressley from TikTok. And I was like, yeah, I was like, wow.
Right. Right.
And she told me that like you've been on my page. She said that she doesn't always see my videos, but she always sees them when she needs them.
Hmm.
That
Mm.
made me feel good.
Yeah.
It was deep, but she's from my hometown.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it was
Wow.
wild. And I was talking to her and we were like sort of sharing our experiences. And I let her know that like, when I turned 18 out here in Georgia, I never I never really saw 18.
Okay.
I always envisioned that I would not make it to 18.
Mm.
So
Hmm.
I literally sat in the car and cried. And looked up at the stars. Like I was amazed that I saw 18.
Wow.
It was big.
Yeah. So did you
Yeah.
move down to Georgia when you were 18 then?
No, ma'am. I
Oh,
moved to Georgia when I was 16. And it wasn't my choice.
okay.
To give you a little background, I was on house arrest
Okay.
until my mother came to court and suggested to the judge that she moves me to another state, that she
Okay.
moves me to Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay.
And that was the reason the judge allowed me to come out or get out. And I was
Okay.
on house arrest until January 23rd, July 23rd, the day we moved to Atlanta.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah,
did you go to jail, like juvenile jail too then?
I went to juvenile, so I can. We have time, right?
We have all the time.
Okay, okay. So I was ugly duckling stage, middle school.
Okay.
Oh, my first day of high school. Thank God to like what's his name? New Jack City, Wesley Snipes.
Okay.
He changed my world for me because I walked into school and people were actually looking at me. Like I counted. like girls were looking at me. I was like popular all of a sudden. I was like, wow. So I ended up dating like the school track star, Gianita Bettina Jones. Wild name. We called her Gigi.
Okay.
And so me and Gigi broke up that year. The following year, she did something crazy and I sort of embarrassed her in front of everybody. Like
Okay.
she sat on top of me in the classroom. You know how they would show science, like in a science class, they would show a video.
Yeah.
And I kicked my legs up and I was like pretty much about to go to sleep on the video.
Right.
And she did something crazy in the middle of class, like in the back. So I sort of embarrassed her because she did something I didn't appreciate that made us break up. And
Okay.
I was like, so your boyfriend something, something, something can't please you. And she told him he was a linebacker in the football team.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
And so later on that day, him and another guy came up to me and asked my name. And once he asked my name, I was like, yeah, I'm Kevin. Why? And he walked off. And my friend who was walking with me says, you know, it's gonna be a problem for you later, right? And I was like, yeah. I was like, I don't care.
Right.
I just didn't care at the time. And so later on he came at me again. And it was again two gentlemen. It was me and my cousin, she's a female. And he said the same thing, but his friend drug him away. This carried on for a couple of weeks.
Oh, okay.
And there was like 20 guys one day in the corridor, and they were all about to jump me.
Oh boy. Like the whole
Yeah.
entire football team.
Nope, it was an entire game. He happened to
Oh,
be a vice lord as well as
oh,
the linebacker on the football team.
oh,
See, I'm
okay.
throwing out gang. He was a rival gang member.
Okay. Because you're part
Yes.
of the gang at this time too?
By that time, I had already been somewhat anointed by my family, my father's side.
Okay.
So yeah, my father's side embraced GDs,
Okay.
which all this is like a foreign. I know I'm speaking a foreign language, right?
A little bit,
I
yeah.
know.
Okay.
Sounds
Hey,
crazy.
I
So
like learning.
my father embraced one thing and it was sort of imposed upon me.
Okay.
Okay.
Hmm.
I can go back further and tell you that I started off the kid who would cry if you told me you hit a deer.
Oh, okay.
Like in class, I remember a kid said we were driving, we hit the deer, we tied him to the hood and took him home and ate him. I cried all day.
Oh,
I was
for
literally the
that
kid who
kid.
was walking home every day, getting beat up, crying
Okay.
out, I don't want to fight.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Yet my environment turned me into a completely different creature
Mm, mm,
over
yeah.
the years. I recall them taking me out to fight like a dog, and eventually took me to fight a young man who was so much bigger than me. I was scared not to fight back.
Okay.
I think that was my first time ever deciding to fight back.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so
So,
the gang affiliation thing came from my father's side.
okay.
Um, and so I lived in an area that was the completely opposing gang.
Mm,
These are guys I grew up with, like guys
wow.
who would spend the night at my house as a kid.
Mm,
Had 20 of them. I'm looking through the crowd of people, that all these familiar faces, and they're literally going to jump me in front of the lunchroom because this guy has an issue with me over his girlfriend, a
right.
girl I don't even want.
Right.
Yeah, I
Oh.
sort of lost my mind. So a friend of mine saved me. His family was pretty well known.
Hmm.
He came out, he was like, if you want to fight, you can fight on one, but you're not going to jump.
Right. Right.
And they weren't going to defy that because that guy had a lot of pull
Okay.
in the neighborhood.
Hmm.
But I stood there after everybody left. I was still standing in the hallway. I, I was unnerved. I think when I walked back, I was going to the gym, my gym class.
Hmm.
And when I got in the locker room, everybody had already gone
Yeah.
to the actual, yeah. And as I was in the locker, I decided I'm over it. And I carried a knife with me in my leg. Like I used to stay taped to my leg. I literally walked in and out of every classroom in the East Corridor looking for him.
Mm,
Then I said to myself, I need to leave. So I walked to my dean's office, Dean Barrera, I remember it. And I sat down on his desk and I put the knife on his desk and I was like, listen, I need to leave or something's gonna happen. And he said, bye. He told me to leave. And when I left, the guy's car was parked right next to mine.
mm.
So I cut his tires.
Oh. Oh, so when you put the knife down, you picked it back up?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yes,
okay.
ma'am.
You didn't leave it on his desk.
The life that I was living at that time, I didn't care about.
Right.
I truly had given up. Like I felt like the smallest mistakes I had made
Hmm.
were permanent.
Right.
That like back in the day, coming up, especially in my area, all you saw was that your future was either going to be a drug dealer or prison or dead. They they sold that to you so prolifically that
Mm,
you believed it.
right.
It was just as it was just as impactful as imprinting.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, that would be
Yeah.
for you like that. That's almost like normal, right? That was normal life. And those were
It
the
was
like, three consequences that you were going to have.
precisely.
Yeah.
It's I went from quote unquote the nerd, the goody two shoes to like crazy Kev.
Mm,
It was more of a survival method. I adapt pretty well. I'm like a chameleon.
right.
I really do. Like I can blend in almost anywhere.
Mm-hmm. I can see that.
Yeah, it's a strong point. On the same note, well, I don't want to dumb it down because it kept me here.
Okay.
Um, I just never wanted that for my son.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't gonna have it. So when you know better, you do better.
Right. For sure.
Yeah. That's why I have an appreciation for everything. For all my experiences that I have growing up, as much as it sounds like they were so horrific, which you would not want that for anybody you care for.
Right.
But I feel that the environments in which we live in, they're designed for us to make us stronger in order for us to survive in that environment.
I agree. I
Yeah,
agree. I want to interject real quick here because I was just talking to a friend a couple weeks ago about the same thing. Like we were talking about some of the things I'd been through, right? Losing a child, domestic violence, just a lot of things. And he said, "I'm so sorry that you went through that." And I'm like, "I'm not, because that's made me who I am today, you know?" And that's what I have to look at it. Like it's things that I went through, the struggles, but it's given me the strength today because I wouldn't be who I am today without those things in my life. And like you say, it sounds kind of like people are like, okay, that's weird that I didn't enjoy those times, but they also make
exactly.
who I am today, you know, and
Yeah,
that's, got through those. So I can relate to what you say there about that for sure.
it, it teaches you that you can honestly, even with everything you've been through, you can become everything you envision.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It teaches you it gives you fortitude, resilience. Everyone feels like I think a lot of people get caught up in thinking that their story or with their life is just so unbelievably horrible
Mm-hmm.
when there's people that I know growing up I wouldn't have traded days with.
Mm-hmm.
I would have taken mine 10 times over
Yep.
instead of taking, you know
Yes.
what I mean?
Oh, for sure. They say, everybody throw their problems in a pile and you're gonna go run and grab yours back real quick. You're gonna be like, no,
Honestly,
I'll take mine right back. Mine's not that bad, you know.
it and mainly because it's like the devil we know. We
Mm,
survived it. We know we can survive it,
mhm.
right? Whereas we see the pains of another person, what they've gone through, something you would never want to endure,
Right. Yeah,
right?
for sure.
And so it's funny. Tony Robbins, you know who he
Yeah.
is?
Oh yeah.
So his wife, Sage,
Okay.
she said something. She says she deals with the stresses and anxieties of the world by telling herself that it's all natural. That
Oh.
everything that happens in this on this planet, it's a natural order of life. It's going to happen whether we want it to happen or not.
Hmm.
And that's how she deals with it.
Mm,
Now, I know a lot of things that happen that are completely absurd. We will never feel that way about.
right.
Yet it does give you a method of coping or dealing with your day-to-day experiences.
Hmm.
Like when you lose somebody you care for.
Right.
Like you have to accept the fact that we're all going to pass.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
the one of my videos, I say that the one disease that we're all suffering from is terminal illness. We're
Mm,
all going to pass at some point in time.
right.
We just don't know when.
Right.
So we need to make the best of like the days in which we have.
Exactly.
And yeah, so like now instead of like my perspective, the lens, I think your perspective creates a lens for you.
Right.
And I'm always grateful. Like every morning when I wake up, I'm like, God, thank you for another day. Thank you for my family, my friends, my mom, my son, I just if you look at things from a positive perspective to me, then that's what you'll see. You know
Right.
what I mean? That's what you'll live with. Like your days are better when you're grateful, when you show gratitude. When you're always griping and complaining, then that's what you're gonna get. You're gonna get something to gripe and complain about. I'm
Yes.
good on that. Yeah.
Right. It's true. I talk about this so much about what you do in the morning will change your entire day. I had a friend of mine call me last week and she was actually like suicidal that day. Like that night, she told me, I'm done. I'm committing suicide right now. So I talked to her for about 3 hours. But at the end of our conversation, I told her, I said, just in the morning, if you wake up, just when you wake up, just say one thing you're grateful for, just even if it's just your son, whatever it is, you got to have something. And so the other day she messaged me, she's like, is it okay if I say I'm grateful for the same thing every day? I'm like, absolutely, just keep saying it, just keep doing it. But that's it, you wake up with that attitude of gratitude, right? And I don't know if it was Trent Shelton or who said it, but your attitude of gratitude will take you to a whole new altitude. And
Yeah,
yeah, it's so
it
true.
will.
Yeah, for
I feel
sure.
like if you start your day off right, you have a better chance of having the day you want.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Turn it around too. Even if you start out your day great and something happened. Yesterday, I had a perfect example, Kevin. I was on my way to work at 7:15 in the morning, and all of a sudden, I'm driving 65 on the expressway, and I just see cars rolling and everything else. And I'm like slamming on my brakes and looking in my rearview mirror, going, oh God, please don't let this car behind me hit me. I watched a Gladiator go sideways, flip like this, and come back up sideways. There's 5 cars involved, and I was the next car that could have been in this accident.
Wow.
And when you said perspective, I just put on Facebook last night, my word for the next 12 months, I just had my birthday yesterday, is perspective. I
Yeah.
talk about life all the time. Like you said, we don't know when we're going to go. We don't know what's going to happen today. But your perspective on life has to be a positive perspective. You have to be that one that for yourself, and then
Yes.
I listened to one of my old YouTube videos last night for a minute, and it talked about lighting the candle or blowing the candle out. So in life, as we're get up in the morning, do our gratitude. Let's just say we light a candle that morning, and then we walk outside and we give a smile to somebody else. So he passes that candle to somebody else, and it just keeps going. But if we wake up in the morning and we're grumpy and we go to work and we're mad and we're angry, then that person's gonna be like, well, that person just ruined my day because they were grumpy, and then that candle's burned out the whole day. And it's just perspective, perspective on life. It is that yesterday rocked my world. Like I could have definitely been looking the other way and hit that car 65 miles an hour, and
Yeah.
I
Blessing.
actually I was praying for all the people since yesterday morning because I didn't know anybody, but I found out one of the girls I work out with at the gym, her mom was involved in the accident. She said that she's going to have surgery on her thumb and she doesn't know anything. She just knows her car's totaled. She doesn't remember anything of the accident. And I was like, oh, I mean, it was horrific, but it put me in perspective too of paying attention and making sure, that I'm being the best I can be because you never know what's going to happen.
So it's funny. I sort of counsel myself through traffic a lot
Uh-huh.
when someone's driving horrifically slow or I get caught by every single light when I'm rushing to a meeting and
Right.
every light catches me. I'm telling myself, well, you know what? God's probably looking out for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So trust me, I get it. I
Right.
get it. Yeah. And
It's
just
turning that
good.
around to what you just said. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but what you just said, like, line at a grocery store, like it's somebody has to go back and check a price and stuff like that. And the lady will be like, I am so sorry. I'm like, you know what? There's a reason why I'm not walking out this door right now. So we're good.
I say I say the same thing to myself. I don't know if it's to counsel my impatience or just to make sure I'm looking at things positively.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, either way, it's benefiting me, so I'm good with it.
Right,
Yeah,
right. So,
absolutely.
Okay, so let's go
So,
back to
to-
slicing tires. He sliced his tires.
oh wow, yeah, yeah. Uh, so I sliced his tires,
Mm-hmm.
drove to my grandfather's house, got his gun,
Oh.
came back and sat on his car.
Mm.
Yeah. And then everybody who came out, because our tennis courts are right there, everyone who came out after school was like, he knows you're at his car, he's not coming. So I went home.
Okay.
The very next day, I came back to school with a bat, that same gun, and a trench coat, a thin, super thin, so I could hide the bat.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to break his knees.
Mm.
So as I was walking across the street to the school, like 4 police cars pulled up. The main officer, his name was Fruit. He used to work inside the school. He was
Okay.
like, Kevin, come here. So I came. He patted me down. He took the bat, gave it like publicly. He took the gun and hid it.
Oh,
He did me a favor.
okay.
So of course, it took me to jail. Yeah,
Right.
because of
Right.
my intent and what I did to his car prior to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's why I was in juvenile
Oh,
prior to
okay.
my move to Atlanta.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, quite a bit,
Yeah.
quite a bit.
Yeah,
It
that's a
goes
lot.
deeper. I mean, when I came to Atlanta, I told myself that everything was gonna be different.
Mm.
And so like I had a completely different outlook when I came here. I was like the slow South. The slow South.
Mm.
Yeah, no, didn't happen that way.
No.
Yeah, I found myself a what do you call it when you travel somewhere frequently? I was a
Frequently.
I was a norm of
Oh, okay.
county. It was called County Farm Road in Cook in Cobb County out here,
Okay.
which was the local jail, city jail.
Oh,
I went
oh,
like at least once a month. Yeah,
oh.
I was either fighting or I would get caught with a gun on my possession. It was always something stupid. I was
So basically your mom moved you down there and nothing really changed.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was here probably 2 weeks, and my cousin and my two cousins were pistol whipped.
Okay.
And then I realized I was just in another situation. It wasn't as bad as Chicago, but it sort of made me go back into survival
Right.
mode.
Mm-hmm.
I kept hold of the moment.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I kept hold of all the bad,
Mm-hmm.
all the stress, all the expecting the worst.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so there came a time where I had quite the reputation.
Okay.
Like you didn't mess with them, you left them alone, the whole nine. And I guess that reputation preceded me a little bit. And some guys that were actually known for doing worse things came to find me.
Mm.
Yeah. It didn't fare well. I ended up in jail
Okay.
and I was looking at 45 years in prison.
Oh,
Yes. Yes.
you said 45?
45.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. God was on my side that night too,
Okay.
because the guy was going to kill me. But when he put his beer down to shoot me, as he said, he said, I'm gonna wet him up. So he had a beer in one hand, he had his hand in his other pocket, but you could see the pro handle of his
Mm-hmm.
gun.
Mm-hmm.
So he sort of turned his back on me to put his beer down. And I had a gun on me.
Mm.
A gun that I never, ever, ever, ever kept on safety.
Oh,
So when I pulled it, his friend ran, he saw it and tried to run, and I was pulling the trigger.
right.
It wasn't firing.
Oh,
My girlfriend had taken it and placed it on safety.
wow.
Yeah. So he dove behind a car. His friend turned around. By that time, I realized the gun was on safety. When I
Right.
did fire, the two windows in front of him came out. He started screaming, I'm hit, I'm hit. So I went over there. I was going to just finish it off. Nothing was wrong with him. I swear to you, I looked up, I was like, God, you're taking care of me. And I left.
Mm,
I went home. I called my cousin. I was like, look, if anything happens to me, this is who did it. Um, and 20 minutes later, it was like, have the police force at my house.
wow. Yeah.
Yeah. I still didn't care that
Right.
Tammy, Tammy, at that point in my life, honestly, you could have had a gun in my head and I wouldn't have blinked.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't care
Right.
at all. And but then my mother came to see me when I was locked up. And she was talking to me behind the glass window.
Right.
I guess she had talked to pretrial prior to speaking to me.
Okay.
They told her I was looking at 45 years in jail, which was more years than she was alive.
Mm,
Um, and she fell apart.
yeah.
She, yeah, I never saw that much pain in my mother's face in my entire life. That's when I felt like a loser
Mm,
because she was the only person in my entire life who had always been there for me.
right. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was the moment. I promised. You know, like when people go to jail, they always start reading the Bible and
All the time. Yep.
yeah,
Yep. Yep.
I feel into the same. Yeah, and so I vowed. I said if I ever get if I'm lucky enough to get out, I'll never hurt her again.
Mm,
Never. It wasn't
mm.
for me. I even at that point I didn't care about me.
It was about
It
her.
was about her.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess God believed me. He let me out, and I changed my. I stopped. I immediately stopped hanging with the people I used to hang with. I
Mm,
immediately just everything was different. The best people that I happened to know, which was my buddy AJ,
okay.
Aaron Jones. He was such the like. He was so peaceful. He was so easy.
Mm-hmm.
Hung around this dude every day after that, and I made friends through him.
Okay. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
Oh,
he
yeah.
hung like his energy brought different type people around him,
Mm-hmm.
and those are the people that to this day I'm still friends with.
Okay.
So yeah, I have my buddies that are from here since I think we've been friends since maybe 96, 97.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So it's been great ever since
Mm-hmm.
because I changed my circle
Sure.
because I wanted to never hurt my mother again.
Right. I want to
Because to,
interject on that a little bit because, like with my drinking, they always say that you have to be ready to change and it has to be for you. But I have to kind of disagree with that sometimes because like you said, you didn't really care if you lived or died at that point. When I quit drinking, I didn't care if I lived or died. I was felt worthless, hopeless, everything. It didn't matter to me. But
yeah,
I had my 14-year-old son sitting in a bedroom, and if I died, or if he found me like I found my dad when he died in our bathtub, his dad was incarcerated for 15 to 30 years. He was going to have no mom, no dad, be raised by his grandparents who really didn't do a great job raising either one of us. And what was his life going to be like? So when I quit drinking, it was all about my son. It was nothing about me. It had nothing to do with Tammy at all. It was,
yeah,
I have to do this for Chad. So I know sometimes people will be like, well, you don't do it for your kids. But like you just said, you just reconfirmed it for me. Like you did it for your mom because it didn't matter to
absolutely.
you. You saw that hurt in her, and I think
You know what's
that's,
funny?
people need to hear that more.
Tammy, I'll be honest with you. Like, there's very little, even when as a kid, I look back at everything and I remember when I wouldn't fight for myself, when I would walk home crying. But
Mm-hmm.
if you mess with my cousins or I would fight.
Right.
If you mess with someone I cared for, I would fight.
Mhm.
I wouldn't fight for myself.
Mhm.
There's certain things you have to accept about yourself. Like acceptance of knowing who you are as a person it's gotten me to where I am today in the sense that I know that my motivations have always been greater than me.
Mhm.
I'm just now finding a passion.
Yeah.
Sort of weird, right?
No, not really, because so am
40s.
I. And I just turned 58 yesterday, so am I. So it's not weird.
Yeah. It's wild, but it feels good.
Mhm.
It really feels good. It feels good now to have something that moves me in a fashion that something I want to do for me,
Mhm.
which is weird. And it's not really for me in a sense, because like I'm dying to go home and talk to my school, to
Mm.
speak at my old
Mm.
high school.
Yes.
Like I want to impact lives.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't feel you don't have to follow the paths. I feel like I see it a lot today. I feel that a lot of the parents are choosing not to fight the battle that are designed for them.
Mm-hmm.
And they're leaving their children to fight those battles.
Mm-hmm.
They should realize that there's more out there. Like you don't
Right.
have to, yeah. That poor torch that your parents were carrying, you don't have to pick that one up.
Right.
Yeah, you have a choice.
Right.
There's more out there for you. And I don't think a lot of kids know it because you don't know until you know.
Right. Right.
Yeah, and it's rough.
Yeah. And like when you talk about speaking to children and kids and schools and stuff, I always think about like my nieces and nephews and things that I've talked to, over the years and never gets through to them, but eventually they're like, you planted that seed for them at least, right? That might not,
Yes.
they might not have an aha moment at that moment, but you planted that seed and then they could be like, oh, wait, I heard Kevin talk about that. And this is how I should, navigate maybe a little bit different. And I think that's important. And especially, I love when you talked about like, the way that you grew up, you didn't want your son to be like that and go through those things. And I think that that's really important too, that people
Precisely.
look at, because that's where the generational curses, whatever you want to call them, that generational, because it's normal. Like this is the way we live, right? My family was
Exactly.
Irish Catholic alcoholics, and that's just what we did, right? So that was my
Yeah.
normal. And then when I decided to quit drinking, I broke that normal. Then I have 3 cousins now that are sober, and my sister's in a rehab right now. So but somebody's got to make that change in the family. Otherwise it continues to go. And that's what
I
you've
agree.
done, and I
Yeah.
think that's awesome. Yeah.
I feel like honestly, when I heard your story, to me it was motivating. Like it made and then to hear your to know what you've gone through
Mm-hmm.
and then to hear you now, like your energy, your voice, all that makes me feel good. So
Thanks.
when remember I told you, I was like, yeah, I love your energy. I can hear in your voice you're happy. Happy is a good thing, isn't it?
Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
yeah.
really is. It truly is. I want to read something real quick if you don't care. I have a friend of mine and she sent me this message. Downtown Toledo, we have we have these silos, right? There's probably 6 of them across. And this painter went and he painted sunflowers on them and then some Indians on it. It's really like breathtaking cool. So she went on this little boat last night that goes down by the river right by it. So she sent me a message and she said, she asked me if I had a great birthday dinner. She said, the mural looks so much more impressive up close. It's beautiful from afar, but breathtaking up close. The grand scale of the mural and all the beauty, hope, and inspiration it stands for. It reminds me so much of you. You make sure to be the inspiration everyone needs in every situation. Yet, just like the Indians in the painting, it wasn't always happy and inspirational for them. And it hasn't always been for you. Yet you take every opportunity to spread light and hope. That is exactly what the mural does for our city. And I just thought those words were powerful to me. Like, yeah, that's what I'm doing, And then when you just said that, I mean, that's my goal and mission is just to be a light in the world. That's it. and to let people know you can get through things, you know.
You
So I
know
appreciate
that
saying
felt really good, didn't it?
it did. That message last night, I was like, and the way she explained it, I was like, wow, but it's true. You know, any situation I get in, I do my best to turn it around to make it be as positive as I can, you know, and it's
Yeah.
hard sometimes, you know, when you're looking at people that my friend's son just committed suicide 2 weeks ago, you know, he wasn't even 25 years old. And, you know, you try to be the best and just relate to them the best you can. But I just try to be the light in the world. And so I appreciate your comment about that. So,
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. And it's funny. You spoke of suicide. You've been speaking of suicide quite a bit recently,
yeah.
in this little. To me, that's such a heavy. It's a it's a heavy topic. It's a heavy situation because I feel like I'm dealing with some friends and family. Um, One is crying. She's crying out. She says things in such a fashion all the time,
Mhm.
and no matter how much we speak to her and how much we tell her she should be happy or feel blessed and be grateful for her,
Mhm.
I don't know if it's sinking in. So it's spooky. You
Yeah.
know, you don't really have control of how a person feels.
No,
You
no.
don't. And I know that.
Right.
You know,
Right.
it's cultures.
Mm.
I'm somewhat grateful for for coming up as I have, because
Mhm.
my culture sort of always frowned upon suicide, right?
Yes. Yes.
Because there were so many years I didn't want to be here.
Right.
But I would
Right.
never have taken that route because of the way I was raised. The
Okay.
things that it was it was considered two things in my culture. It was considered, one, very selfish, and two, very cowardly.
Okay.
Um, and so there's two things I like. The word coward is one of the words I use to keep myself in a straight and narrow. I
Okay.
say there's two voices inside you, and one
Mhm.
being the inner coward, and I never
Yeah.
want to listen to that one.
Right.
And that's what it's just what happens to be one of the words that that pushes me in the right direction.
Okay.
So I never want to be associated with it.
Okay.
You know, but to be honest with you, there were, from the time when I was 14 onto the time, I guess I was looking at 45 years in jail, I didn't want to be here anymore.
Hmm.
I really thought it would be easier if I just was gone,
Right.
right?
Oh,
And so happens that it was complete faux pas in my culture to do something that would aid me in not wanting to be here.
okay. Right.
I just circumstances.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, nothing else. But one of my friends, she wasn't raised like that.
Okay.
So it scares me, and I love her to death.
Mm-hmm.
And she has three babies. And,
Oh,
you know, yeah.
yeah. Well, I hope she goes and gets like some counseling or something, you know, to help her. When I talked about, and here's the thing. So God is just like so amazing. I mean, 100%. I always tell people, like, whatever you have faith in, whatever you have faith in, I have faith in God. That's my faith. That's what helped me get sober. But the other day, after I was talking to my friend, I went to work and I bartended at a golf course, and one of the employees was sitting there talking to me. And I was kind of like, yeah, I'm a little tired. I only had like 3 hours of sleep. And I kind of told him a little bit. And he said to me, he's like, I want to talk to you. Some guests came in, right? And I had to give them their drinks. And I said, okay. And I walked over and he's like, I want to tell you, thank you for talking to your friend. And I'm like, oh, well, that's what I do, you know. And he's like, well, my daughter had an autoimmune disease and she lived in Texas. He's like, she's married, had a couple kids, teenagers. And my wife and I moved down there because her autoimmune disease kept getting worse. And he said, and then through all of that, her husband divorced her. And he said she used to call the suicide hotline all the time and just talk to people. And then one day she didn't call and she ended up committing suicide. But he said, you talking to your friend might have completely saved her life. And that is what's important, to make sure that we're there to talk to our friends and to be there for them. And so when he said that to me, and he gave me a hug and just said, thank you. And I thought, we're just doing what we're supposed to be doing. So like with your friend, that she needs you to express how she feels, but we just hope that we can just be the one to break that for them. It's hard because like I said, my one friend, I mean, it's not like she's cured, but our conversations with people can help people.
Yes, you pray for it, right?
Yes.
You pray
Yes.
that you say something that will resonate, that will
Yeah.
stick with them, that will be like that little voice in the back of their head when they're really thinking something poorly, that'll keep them here with you.
Right. Right.
To be honest with you, I'm not sure if we is the outside influence are ever going to be enough.
Right. Right.
I'm a strong believer in self as well.
Oh, for
Um,
sure.
yeah, I believe that we have to make choices and we have to dig deep and want to fight. We have to want to fight to be here. Like
Exactly.
there's nothing easy about life, right?
Oh, no, there's not. I
It's
say that all the time. Life is not easy, people. It
not,
really
yeah.
isn't. No,
I don't think it was ever meant to be easy though.
no, I don't think so either. I think
Yeah.
that, they say that, there's that wide path you can go down in life, or there's that narrow path. And that narrow path is hard, but that narrow path is going to get you to where you need to go. That wide path, that's where you have, I feel like, more of the victim mentality and I'm not doing anything with my life and feel sorry for me and all of that. I feel that wider path is that,
Perspective, right?
right. Perspective
Perspective.
again. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it. And I feel like you said, you get up in the morning, you make a choice in the morning. Your choice is to pray, thank God, be grateful, and all that. That's your choice in the morning. But the easier path, I mean, really in life is to not do anything. I mean, but life is so hard then.
So it's funny. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So is it really easier to do nothing because you're stuck at nothing
Right.
10 years from now?
Right.
You're still at nothing.
Right.
Whereas you can be going through the same type of pains in a sense
Mhm.
and accomplishing something, getting something from it,
Yes.
a return on all that pain.
Right.
You're getting no return on your pain when you sit there and do nothing.
No,
And
never.
and that's the part that I've accepted. Like I'm good. I don't know if I've ever been a nothing type of person.
Right.
Um, Yet the choice to do something better than the previous choices
Right.
is where I think I've grown.
Right.
My choices now are smarter, wiser.
Yeah.
They're looking at the big
Not
picture,
always.
you know. Whereas before, I think I'm sorry,
No, go
I
ahead.
didn't hear you. No, I said before, I think I was more in the survival mode,
Mm-hmm.
opposed to like learning and growing and creating a vision.
Right.
Now I'm out here trying to work on my vision, opposed to trying to survive until the next day.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. And your vision is, I love your vision. I love what you do. Like I said, when I came across you on TikTok, then I'm always like looking at every video, but I don't like them all because that's creepy. You ever get that person? This is on a whole different thing, but that person that you have like 35, and you're like, seriously? Okay, you're a creeper. This is enough. Sorry. Don't do that.
So I do have the 35 in the whole nine, and then I tell myself, oh, they just like my content. That's me just doing the
Oh,
positive.
right.
Yes,
I like your
yes. It
positivity
is
on
a
that
little
one.
different to have somebody sit there and literally like 35. Yeah, you're right.
Right. Right.
Right.
That's
I
funny,
didn't
but
say that though.
yeah. So now in Atlanta, does your mom live down there still then?
Yes.
Okay. And
My
then your
mother,
son.
my aunt.
How
So
old?
everyone who came with me
Okay.
came with us prior. So
Okay.
when we made the move, it was my mom, myself, my auntie, and two cousins.
Oh, okay.
All of except for the one cousin, which is somebody who's one of my he's he never made it out that state of mind.
Okay.
He fights alcoholism.
Okay.
It's actually I feel like it's his method of trying to not be here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Could be.
So yeah, and he's more like a brother to me than a cousin.
Okay.
Yeah, so no matter how everybody knows me for like maintaining my peace.
Yes.
If those are around me are trying to disrupt my peace, they're no longer around me.
Right.
I just don't have the liberty, the I don't have the full capacity to be that way with him
Okay. Yeah.
because, yeah,
I
because
can
just how much I
say,
love him.
right. I can say
Yeah.
the way I am with
So
my sister. The same thing,
yeah,
it's that same, like, I can be like, okay, you're over here now, you're over here now, you're over there, you're not doing anything good for me. And my sister, man, I just cannot do it because she's my sister. And I've learned to detach some
some,
because
yes,
it's hard, because then she can get me. I just said the other day, like, she is the only person that can get me from here to here in an instant. But I don't allow that anymore. And that's what I was doing, was allowing it. But at the same token, it's hard to detach from her. She's my sister. She's my only sister, and so
exactly.
it makes it difficult. And I did want to
It does.
re back to when you talked about your circle of people, and when you got out of jail, you didn't go back to that same circle of people, and the
Mhm.
importance of the people that you hang with to how your life is going to be. I think that people really need to learn more about that. Like, as much as you want to hold on to those people that you think, you can help them or whatever you're going to do, their negativity can draw you right back to a place that you don't want to be.
Wow, so many of us seem your your choice of words allows me to know who you are. Givers. Givers actually, yeah, they have the tendency to go through quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I've always been that person.
Mm-hmm.
Even in relationships. I think that's why like I've I've really settled I've sort of removed myself from that situation in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very, very conscious of like who I am now. And I'm always getting I always feel like I get into a relationship to improve the person for the next person.
Yeah. Oh, I
So
get it. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
good. I'm not taking on things that I know I won't accept anymore. I
Right.
live by a code. I live by a
Mhm.
code. And it's called MRV,
Okay.
which stands for moral reciprocal value.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah, I live by it wholeheartedly. It doesn't mean that you have to be as good as I am at something. Like you don't have to love as in the same fashion I love, but your effort has to match mine.
So
If
good.
your effort doesn't match mine, then I can't deal with you.
Mm,
I don't want anything to do with you.
mm,
In many cases, I'll have this tendency. I have a method of teaching people lessons by reciprocating. Like if you do something, I'll show you what you're doing. If I tell you that I have a problem with you doing something, and you act like you don't get it, I'll show it to you.
mhm.
And then when you complain, I'm like, well, this is what I meant.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just depends if it's worth showing it to you.
Sure.
If it's something I'm not willing to live with, then there's no point in me even talking about it.
Right.
Um, but I always afford somebody an opportunity to fix their right their wrong.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah, but yeah, people don't change that easily.
Oh no, I was going to change my kid's dad. Let me tell you, I was going to be the one. And I was not the one. He still was a crack addict, and he still went to prison for 15 to 30 years. So I was not the
Wow,
one to change that man, let me tell you. But I had two beautiful sons. So we're just going to go with that one there.
that part. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I'm not into wasting time or life.
Right.
So yeah, I'm good on making those efforts that deep down we know better.
Mhm. Yes.
Yeah. So
Yep.
yeah, I'm good. I'm
Yeah.
great.
I think
I'll
sometimes deep
pass.
down we know better, and we live in this little fantasy world sometimes and then you see that I always talk about, like, you see that glimmer of hope in them, and you're like, oh yeah, there it is. I see it. And then 2 days later, you're like, gone again, forget it. So, I mean, I used to think more like that. I don't do that anymore. That was a while ago. Now that glimmer of hope, and I'm like, yeah, I've learned. We'll just say we've learned in life.
That part, yeah.
Yeah. So how old
I'm
is your
good on
son?
that.
Oh, sorry.
I know. I'm saying. I just don't. I'm the same way you are right now. I just don't want it. I don't want any parts of it. I'm
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Me and
So
my little piece. Me and my piece solo is just fine right now.
yeah, exactly. Like, just and doing what you're supposed to be doing. You know what I mean? Like, you found your purpose, your gift, and and I feel like once we start finding that, that's what we need to focus on, because God's like, yes, you finally have it. So let's go share it with the world, right? Let's go help people.
So I
Let's
think what's beautiful about that is as well with that I'm so busy right now that I'm fine.
right. Yep. So busy
I'm
that I'm
good.
feeling right. I'm like I said, I'm working out and doing my podcast and trying to get on stages speaking. There's just so much going on that I'm like, and when I even think about, like, oh, relationship, I'm like, do I really even have time for that? Not really. So I'm good. So, now
Yeah,
how old is your son?
my son's 23 now.
23. Now he
Well, he'll
lives in
be 23 in
Atlanta.
November.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
sorry,
November what?
22nd.
Oh, my son's is November 29th.
Really?
Yeah,
So
he'll
my
be
son is
34.
112200.
Oh,
It was so
okay.
easy.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
his
easy enough to
birthday.
remember forever.
Can't forget it, right?
Oh, you sure can't.
Super
That's
easy.
right,
I was
right.
like, oh
So
wow.
now he lives in Atlanta too?
Yeah, he lives
Yeah.
with me.
Oh, he lives with
Well,
you. Okay.
so he just moved back home. He was in the dorms initially.
Oh, okay.
Then he did some Caleb stuff, which I'm gonna give me an apartment with my buddy. I'm still waiting on him. I said, Caleb, you need to get the. I said, sure, just go ahead and do your own thing. You got it. I knew he'd end up at the house. So now he's at the. So I think he's in his last year of college,
Okay.
and then I think he's going to grad school though.
Okay.
So whatever, as long as he's moving the right direction, I got
Right.
him.
Right.
He's good.
Exactly.
He's good.
Good. Good.
No problems at all.
Awesome. That's great. So I
So
know, go ahead.
you said your baby was 14 when you had your aha moment, when you had your I'm gonna change my life.
Yeah.
How old is he now?
He'll be 34 in November.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Wow, you're
I've been sober 19 and a half years right now. So when March 9th, it'll be 20 years. And so he was 14 at
sweet.
the time. Yep. Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Thank you. Yeah. It's
That's
crazy.
awesome though.
But here's the
So
thing. Go
you
ahead.
have two babies though, right?
Well,
You have two sons.
my one son passed away at 6.5 months old of SIDS.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So
So,
here's what's crazy. My son at 6 months almost passed from SIDS as well.
oh, really?
He was in a rocking chair in a
Uh-huh.
swing, and I was playing a game in front of him, and he breathes real heavy.
Mhm.
And so you can normally hear him breathing. And he stopped.
Oh,
And so I freaked out. I was like, Caleb, not nudged him, his head just dropped.
oh,
He wasn't breathing at all. So now I am the most useless human being on the planet. I ran up the stairs. My mother was here, and his mom was here.
okay.
And I was like, he's not breathing. She took him from me. She ran to the bathroom. They told me to call the ambulance. I'm on the phone with the ambulance. They couldn't even understand me.
Right.
Couldn't get the words out.
Right.
So the whole time he had acid reflux. The reflux
Oh,
must have come up, stopped him from breathing.
mm,
They said now they're telling us that acid reflux has a lot to do with SIDS.
really? I didn't know
I had
that.
no idea. Me either. Yeah.
Wow.
And so I guess she put him under cold water and was slapping him around. And he finally came to.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah. Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Scariest moment.
Yeah. It's a lot. It's a lot. You know, a lot to process and a lot to go through, but here that's part of my story, right? So I know that that's why I say that, and when I, especially when I do this, like we can get through anything, anything we can get through. I believe that I have to have the faith in God to get through it. You know, they always say, people are like, you know, God never gives you more than you can handle. And I honestly think that's the silliest statement in the world, because when you get these things, though, you have to, that's when you have to take your faith and be with Him and be like, okay, now I need you to carry me through this, because I don't know how I can get through this. And I talk about this, especially like with my drinking, and people use the excuses all the time. Like, well, you know, I stubbed my toe, so I decided to take a drink, or, you know, somebody passed away and I decided that that was a good idea to start drinking, or I lost my job. And I always tell people, so in 2012, so my son has a half brother and a half sister. Their dad had 2 kids previous. And I've known those kids since they came home from the hospital. And Nicholas, when Scott and I started, I don't even call it dating, started being together, Nicholas was 18 months old. Well, in 2012, he was killed in a single car automobile accident, drinking and driving.
God.
So I had been sober, 8 years at that time? But at that time, I could have easily said, you know what, this is horrible, because he was like my son, you know, and started drinking. And I always tell people, like, you have to be able to use the tools that you have to not go back to what you did, you know, like, just like with you. I mean, easily, I'm sure there was times when you could have been like, I'm so mad, can't even live this great life again, because it's easier this way. Even though we talked about it's harder that way, but it's still can be easier that way. And with that drinking and drugging and even any addiction, smoking, so easy. I had a girl that quit for 25 years smoking, and she was smoking again. I said, why are you smoking again? She's like, well, the neighbors kept smoking, so one day I just decided to pick up a cigarette because I was having a bad day. I was like, oh, that was smart. You know what I mean? Like, you can't let the bad days turn you into what you used to be, I guess, is kind of what I'm saying, you know. And it's funny, because I just had this realization the other day about so I have very vivid dreams a lot. And the day that Nicholas passed away in the car accident, that next night, I'll never forget this. And I didn't put it all together just recently. I had a dream that Nicholas and I, who never drank together because he was young at this time, and I had been sober for 8 years, so he would have only been like 17. So we never drank together or anything. But anyways, I had a dream that we were in a bar in Detroit for whatever reason. And he came up with me to this big margarita. I mean, I'm talking, it was in this huge glass, right? And he handed it to me and he said, it's okay, Tammy, you can drink this. And I was like, I can drink that, Nick. And he's like, seriously, everyone will understand if you drink this. I never put it together until about 6 months ago. Like, man, that was like, I don't love to give Satan credit, but that was almost like Satan being there and having Nick tell me, it's okay. Everybody will understand if you start drinking again because of me dying, you know? And it's not okay. It's not. That's not the reason why we should go back to anything that we used to do. You know, it was just a really big awakening for me just not too long ago. Like I said, like, that was really just something telling me that it would be okay. But I had to remind myself, no, it's not okay, you know? So anyways, that's a little bit of my story there with Nick.
That's heavy.
It was
That's
very heavy.
heavy. I mean, so that's one of the areas that I've seen growing up a lot.
Mhm.
Even I don't know if I could say worse, but as you were saying, you said he was a crackhead. I've seen a lot of drug abuse growing up. Um, and it's funny how 2 kids grew up around the same exact environment.
Mhm.
One will it'll be like a magnet for one, and the opposing for
Yeah.
another will
Yes.
push them away.
Yes.
And addiction is one of the one area of life that I know how powerful it is. I just don't know like that feeling. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
the feeling's different.
It's different.
It's yeah. So we all have like our demons. Like I think my innate, from everything I grew up with, my innate emotion was anger.
Okay.
Like innate. If my feelings were hurt, it didn't matter what was happening. My Once I was triggered, it's anger.
Mm-hmm.
I can get to the point of blacking out.
Okay.
Yeah, different. That's
Yeah.
different. That's a problem.
Right.
It took me a long time to get that under wraps.
So
I don't know.
throughout your journey, have you ever went to counseling, or did you mostly counsel yourself?
Unfortunately, I mostly counsel myself.
Okay.
From being in all the trouble that I was getting in,
Uh-huh.
the courts of course uh sent me to anger management
Right.
several times. That was
Yeah.
nothing.
Right. Right.
Uh I think the fact that I feel like I'm somewhat logical
Mm-hmm.
and I can see everything.
Mm-hmm.
It was just deciding to make a better choice, wanting something more, not wanting to walk down the same. And then I had a child.
Right. Well, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
There's that.
that part. Yeah,
Right.
that part.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Highly
then
impactful.
you raised him yourself, you said.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow. That's
The,
awesome.
the, the Duke's here right now.
Is he- Awesome. Well, good. I
Yes.
really have enjoyed this conversation. I think it's been really good, and I'm sure that people are gonna get some insight on this because I think we went over a lot of things here, a lot of good things.
I think so too. This is like again, Tammy, is my first interview. Listen, I appreciate you inviting me on.
I appreciate you accepting my invitation. I'm always like, it's always like when I message people, they're like, what? So then I'm always like, no, check it out. I really have a podcast because there's a lot of crazy people out in this world, So no, I enjoy this so much. I got a lot of insight on it. I think that we need to be more the voice for people because like I said, so many people think that they're alone in their struggles. And if they know that like what you went through and you've gotten through, I mean, you got a book, which is so cool, those things that people, you grow up and like you said, 16 years old, you're in juvenile at hall or jail, I guess you call it. And then you move to Atlanta and then this is going on in your life, but you turned it around now. Right. And so I think that's what people need to hear more of. And like I said, I've had 3 people just be like in the last week, like, I'm not alone in this. No, none of us
Absolutely
are
not.
alone in it. We all go through things, it's just I had a girl yesterday, she just started her TikTok. She's been sober, not real long, but she's got her TikTok and she's talking about depression and sobriety and stuff. Well, she fell off a little bit. And she messaged me last night and she's like, well, I'm worried that people are going to judge me. And I was like, okay, fear and judge, she said in one sentence. And I said, we got to get rid of fear because facing everything and running is not the best thing to do, right? You need to face it and go on. But judging, don't worry about it. I mean, that's the problem with so many people. Like, I'm not going to share my story because somebody's going to be like, oh, man, I'm out here sharing my story because somebody's going to be like, oh my gosh, that happened to me and I can live still. So I think
Agreed.
people need to hear that more.
I,
So,
I think people abuse the word fear
yeah, yeah,
because if you really think about it, fear is something that should be related to a life or death situation.
yes, yes,
Yeah, yeah.
I
So it's
agree.
more of a anxiety or a discomfort.
Discomfort. Yeah.
Yeah,
Anxiety or discomfort and a worry of what people are going to think. You know what I mean?
precisely.
Yeah, that's
But
it.
it's not gonna end your world.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. Now, yesterday morning when I was almost in that accident, that was a fear for me. Like that was
exactly.
fearful, like for sure. But the other things in life, no. And it's just false evidence appearing real, things like that. There's so many acronyms you can use for that. So
Yeah, I've heard that one.
yeah,
I,
so
I honestly like the notion that everything's just a moment. Like they're moments in time. we can overcome them.
Yes. So
Yeah.
true. True. All right. Well, we better wrap this up. We've been on here for quite a while, which is awesome. I love it. I can't wait to this
That's a
up.
beautiful thing.
Yes. And I appreciate you getting on here with me and spending time with me on Hope today. And like I
I
said,
appreciate you having me.
now. So anyways,
Thank
everybody,
you,
I want
Jamie.
to thank everybody for getting on Hope today. You know, if you feel like you're at home struggling all by yourself, you're not. There's stories out there that you'll be like, holy crap, that's the same thing I'm going through right now. Or holy crap, what they're going through is nothing like what I'm going through right now. And I can get up today. So, you know, enjoy the moment. Just like you said, moments. That's it. Life is moments. And just get through that moment. And I promise you, you can get through anything. It's just you got to get your mind right and have tools to use every day to get through these things. So Kevin, once again, thank you so much for taking the time out today. I appreciate it. And I hope you have a fabulous day.
You're the same.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye.